Hello, Michelle Cooks fans. I hope you are doing well. I am going to be making the famous salad tabouli today. My husband has had a bumper crop of parsley. Can you believe it? And so we are going to make some tabouli, and I'm going to get you through it. It's not as hard as you think it is. Not only that, it has most ingredients that you would normally have around the house. So you're going to need some parsley, and we prefer flat leaf parsley, tomatoes, and usually for every larger bunch, and let me show you what I mean by a larger bunch, okay? This is a larger bunch of flat leaf parsley, okay? And what I have done with that is I have pulled it apart from this. For you guys, it would probably be the store, but from our garden, and I made all the tops kind of come together, chop off the extra of the bottoms, the stems, and then I put a rubber band or twist tie around it to hold it together. It makes it easier to wash and easier to dry. And you would like to make sure you wash it and dry it because it will be nasty. And then I can cut it, and I will show you those, how to do that. Also, you want tomatoes, and for every bunch, you want one medium-sized tomato, or for 2 bunches, a large tomato, like a beefsteak. I put cucumbers in mine. Some people do, some people don't. I like cucumbers in mine. Mint. Some people like mint in addition to the parsley in theirs. Some people don't. I'm one who's not crazy, but I want the tabouli flavor. Also, onions or green onions, scallions, whatever you want to call them. Some people like them in, some people don't. Let me let you know, if you do put onions in, it's going to make it kind of if it's not going to be eaten all at once, it doesn't do as well left over, okay? Salt, pepper, olive oil, lemon juice, and the other thing that we use is the bulgur wheat #1. It is the finest ground of the wheat. So I'll start getting ready and show you everything that we do. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start cutting my bunches of parsley. If it's not totally dry, take a paper towel and pat it dry, because the drier the better, otherwise you get tabouli soup, okay? This dried overnight. You don't necessarily have to do that, but I allowed it because also I didn't get done with this till later, and I wasn't going to start tabouli last night. So it's fresh today. You're going to put it on you want to have a nice dish ready to go, and you're going to put it on your cutting board. And the way I do it is I kind of twist just a little bit, and I tuck some of these farther ones out underneath. And then you want a good sharp knife that you handle well. And you're going to angle the blade a little bit out from you and start cutting, okay? And you want to make the cuts as close as possible. Now, my sisters-in-law do this like they don't even think about it, and they do it. Me, it takes all my effort to make sure that I'm cutting it and not cutting my hands. And the reason I angle outward is because I want to grab the smallest amount of the parsley and cut it down. Let me see if I can bring this a little closer. Okay, hold on a sec. Okay, let me do this. All right. Okay, now let me show you. You want to slice next to your knuckles here, okay? Bend your fingers in, and you want to just drag it down, and it's going to make small cuts. Can you see that? See how small they are? Now, from here, my sisters-in-law are able to just go ahead and it's good. For me, I like it a little more cut, so I will go over it like this a couple times to make sure they're pretty even and pretty small. I'm not as fussy as they are about it. And then I gather it and I stick it in my bowl. Okay, so let me get that ready and we'll be back. Also, if you find some that look like this, they're starting to get like yellow on here, pull those out and throw them out. It makes it taste a little bitter. Okay, I'm done. I'm starting to feel like my 4th grade teacher. I'm done doing the parsley. Now, I had a lot to do because he had a lot of parsley that he pulled from the garden. But cut it, and my sisters-in-law do this beautifully. This is as good as I'm going to get at this point. Stems are okay, but if you see some larger ones like this, or this, or this, pull them out. You know, comb through it a little bit. If you see something that you don't like, just pull it out and throw it away. The next thing we're going to do is going to get our tomatoes. Now, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8 bunches of parsley. So I'm going to aim for 8 tomatoes, or if I have an extra large one, then maybe 7 tomatoes. Okay, now I'm ready to do the tomatoes. They are to be cut in a tiny, tiny fashion, similar in size or a little bit bigger than than the parsley. But I cheat. I don't do that by hand, mostly because I like my hands. And so I cheat. And I use this wonderful thing called the Vidalia onion chopper. And I get a separate bowl. And you don't have to do this. You can put it right on top of the parsley if you want. But my friend showed me this little trick. So I follow her way. It just became easier for me. So I have my bowl ready. Try to get the reddest that you can. Sorry, there's some parsley on it. Try to get the reddest that you can. All right, let me adjust this so you can see what we're doing. And I'm going to chop these, and I use a serrated knife. I'll do this. I'll chop them in quarters, and then I'll put 2 quarters on there and whack, okay? And if you can see, they come out absolutely perfect. I do use the smaller size blades on my Vidalia onion chopper, and we put the skins in and seeds and everything. And you want the juice, okay? And that'll be explained a little later. So ready? Whop. All done. Okay, we'll go through a couple more. And these are tomatoes from my husband's garden. Crunch. Here we go. Okay, I'll get these done and be right back. Okay, I have finished the tomatoes. I'm going to dump the last bit in here. And again, I include the juice for a reason. Now you can see. Now, don't be alarmed by the amount I'm making. This is going to match the amount of parsley that I'm using. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do my cucumbers. I tend to peel my cucumbers unless they are the pickling cucumbers. Then you can leave the skins on because they're a little bit softer. But these are a little bit tough. So I'm going to peel them and I'm going to put them back through the fine grater on this Vidalia onion chopper. Okay, be right back. I am going to use 2 cucumbers. Now you adjust it to what you like. The idea is to have a little extra crunch and taste without overwhelming the tomatoes and the cucumbers. So I'm going to use 2 medium-sized cucumbers. Again, if you can get them with the smaller seeds, it's better. And I am going to, if I were making half of this, I'd only use 1. It's an eyeball thing. You see what looks good to you. So I'm going to go ahead, cut it in half, and then I cut it in half again. It just makes it easier, and you got to make sure it fits on the, so I got to cut a little bit off, and wham! And you can see how beautiful the size of the cucumbers is. And I don't even wash it in between because I don't mind the juices. Be right back. Okay, here are the chopped cucumbers. And I'm going to put them right in our tomatoes. Okay, and to me, that ratio is pretty good. Okay, if you need to, you like, because these are garden fresh tomatoes, there's an awful lot of, I don't know if you can see it, juice in there. I might dump some of the juice because it's an extreme amount, but you want to leave some juice in, and I'll explain in a minute. Okay, in this point, this is where if you want onions or scallions or green onions in there, this is the time you would cut them small and put them in. If you wanted mint, this is the time you would cut the mint leaves nice and small, similar to the parsley, and put them in there. But I don't use any of that, and it's just my taste. So now I am going to add the bulgur wheat. Now the bulgur wheat, you can see it, is number 1, okay? And it is the finest wheat outside of flour that I understand for cooking purposes. So for this is mostly an eye shot. But for me, I like to cover my vegetables, okay, that are in here, the tomatoes and the cucumbers. And this is about 1 3/4 cups of the bulgur wheat. Now, here's why I left the juices in here. The juices will start to bloom the wheat, meaning, you know, the wheat is crunchy and hard right now. But so you would normally soak this in a cup, and you can certainly do it this way. Soak them in a bowl or a cup and let them start to soften up before you add them to your tabouli. But I saw my friend do this, and what she did was use the natural juices from the vegetables to start softening the wheat. And the wheat will expand a bit, so you'll be able to see it in your tabouli. Now, another fun thing about doing it this way is that you can do this part the night before. Let that wheat sit overnight in the refrigerator in your vegetables, and it'll be all ready the next day. And then you just do your parsley and mix it together, and we're going to show you the spices in a minute. But I like to do this, and I've done it ahead of time, and it works perfectly. Right now, I'm going to leave it set for about 10 minutes, and then we'll come back and we'll start combining all the ingredients together so that you can see the final result. Okay, the next part is I'm going to do my lemons, and I'm showing all of this in bits and pieces. You juice your lemons your way. I like my juicer because it filters out all the crap and the nuts and the whatever. And generally a half to a full lemon per bunch of parsley. Now, lemons all have different amounts of juice. This one's going to have a lot. I can feel this one's going to be hard, so it's probably not going to have as much juice. So you got to kind of fuss with that. And just because I put that much in doesn't mean I'm going to add it all at once. I'll do it a little at a time, taste it, adjust it to the way I want it. Okay, so I'm about to do my lemon. Okay, people, now we're at the exciting part. This is the vegetable mixture, and look how you can now see the wheat. The wheat has started to suck up all that delicious juice from the tomatoes and vegetables. And here's our parsley. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to dump it all together. Okay. Now, it will want to sit for a little while longer and let those, what do you call it in there? The wheat get a little bit fluffier, and you'll see that'll start to happen. Now, I did my lemon juice and I measured it. There's about 1.5 cups in here. I don't know if I'm going to use it all. A lot depends on how everything tastes. And remember I said what you're going to do is use salt and pepper. Now, how am I going to tell you how much? I do it by taste. I would say start with a solid 1.5 teaspoons of salt, depending on how much you make. Now, I'm making an awful lot because I had a lot of parsley. And start with about 3/4 teaspoon of pepper, okay? I didn't measure any of that out. And I want you to know that in advance. And now I just inhaled the pepper, so I'm going to sneeze. And I'm going to add, for me, about 1/2 to 3/4 of that lemon juice. And I'm going to soak it in the... There it was. Excuse me. Did that away from the food. I'm going to use at least 1/2 cup of olive oil. And I use good olive oil, okay? Now we're going to start to stir. This takes a little bit of arm energy if you've made as much as I have. But if you make less, obviously it's not going to be as hard to stir. Okay, it's just about done. A couple of tricks I want to tell you about. If you're using store-bought tomatoes and they're not very juicy, take some water, cup your hand, and add some in like that. That'll help to get the bulgur wheat to absorb. Also, as you are stirring, if it looks a little dry, you know you have to add some oil or lemon juice, okay? Now, what you're looking for is a healthy balance of salt, pepper, and the olive oil and the lemon juice, a good balance, okay? If you've had tabouli before and you liked it, you know what you're looking for. One thing I want to mention to you is if it doesn't taste lemony enough, before you add extra lemon juice, you might want to add a little bit of salt first and then retaste it. Because what happens is the salt brings out the lemony taste. So I've got a fresh spoon. I'm going to taste it and see what I think I need. Okay, I taste it. I definitely need more salt. I definitely need a little more pepper. And I do need a little bit of lemon juice. And it feels a little dry, so I'm going to add a little extra olive oil. Again, please note, I am making 8 heads of the parsley. So you need to adjust it to your taste. I hope you enjoyed this demonstration. Have a great day. Bye, Michelle Cooks fans.